Well, thanks, John. Really appreciate you doing the show. We are here with Chris Mihm. Chris, welcome to Focus On You. Really glad to have you with us
Thank you
today.
for having me.
Of course, thanks. So let's start with this. Tell me about the Mimiverse.
The Mimiverse is the umbrella under which all of my films exist. It's sort of this mini universe wherein all the stories that I tell exist.
Okay.
And it started with my first film. It was called The Monster of Phantom Lake. And since then, I've put out 7 others that are all in this cheesy 1950s style. And they all sort of eventually became linked in such a way that the Mimiverse was born, and that characters from one movie will appear in another, events in one will be referenced in another. They're all standalone stories, but they do link together in that weird universe that I created.
You already mentioned the Monster of Phantom Lake that was finished back in 2006. So let's talk a little bit about making your first film. What was that like for you?
It was really great. I mean, I'd always wanted to make a movie, so to actually sort of get off my butt and do it was actually really fun and exciting. And it was kind of I barely remember half of it. I mean, it was kind of like a ride. You got on and suddenly you got off and we had a movie. So it was really fun, very challenging, but ultimately just exciting. And I met a lot of great, cool people, and the movie ended up getting good reviews, which I think helped toward making me want to make more. But it was too much fun for words, and it's that experience almost alone drives me to continue, just because it's been so awesome ever since.
And from what I understand, you basically made the movie on zero budget. So tell me what it's like to make a film with pretty much nothing.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, you end up borrowing a lot of things. You end up sort of, twisting arms to try and just get what you need. You end up, like for the Monster of Phantom Lake, you end up making a movie monster that's made out of garbage bags. I mean, you literally cut corners in every possible way just to make it happen. You use friends and family to be in the movie. It's just a lot of begging, borrowing, and stealing just to make it happen. And it's surprising how much I ended up being able to do with literally almost nothing. So,
and I think one of the things that's really interesting is that you're such an acclaimed director, kind of in the Twin Cities. Just a couple of the examples here. We've got Best Action and Horror Film for the Highway 61 Film Festival in 2011. You were the first winner of the Roger and Julie Corman Intrepid Filmmaker Award, and Best Director from MailOrderZombie.com.
Yes.
What a great name.
I know.
Tell me, how does it feel to be recognized like this?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's always nice to get recognition for the hard work you put into it. But at the same time, for me personally, it actually pushes me to get more. And it almost becomes like, well, if I got that award, well, what's the next big step up that I can win? It's like in the back of your mind, and I think every filmmaker is like, how can I make my way to the Oscars? It's like, how will I get there? So it's great. Partially just because it allows me to feel like all this time and effort and frustration and everything that goes into making these movies is ultimately worth it, at least insofar as people are noticing that I actually did this. So that's always wonderful, but it is and can be challenging too.
I know a lot of people ask you why you write films that are in this 50s horror genre, and I understand a lot of it has to do with your dad.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. My dad, growing up, he lived in a small town in Minnesota, and he used to skip out on farm chores to go to the local theater and see cheesy movies, because that's all they had in his tiny town, was this little theater that would show like the bad, low budget, what would have been at the drive-in had they had one. And growing up, we used to rent these when I was a kid, and I'd just sit there and sort of watch them with him. And so when I decided to make a movie, I thought, my dad had passed away in 2000, and I sort of thought, maybe my first movie could be a bit of a tribute to him. And then after I did it, I realized that the genre gave me freedom to do almost anything I wanted in this very fun style that I also feel like I'm very good at. So I just kind of became a bit addicted to that style and just haven't really wanted to do anything else since.
Well, your next movie is The Giant Spider, and it's premiering on May 22nd.
Yes.
Well, and you can check that out actually on May 23rd. What was the name of the theater?
At the Trilon Micro Cinema in Minneapolis.
Well, there you go. Well, Chris, thanks so much for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. John, back to you.